Shema. Yeah, Shema. Here, listen, right? And remember, we just read what he said now? In verse 3, he said, and hereby we know that we know him if we what? Keep. That word keep. What does that word keep? Shema. What changed? The resh, the yod, the ayin changed to a resh. One means to listen, one means to guard or protect, defend. Very important, necessary. We are here, we are more apologists, but a Shema. Shamanians, is how I like to call us, right? We give a hearing and we listen to what a people is saying, and when we listen, then we give a Shema. 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 You see, you hear the difference in the voice, in the breath. That is what is being communicated. So now we have, and the second is, thou shalt have no image of God, metal or mental, on this earth. Thou shalt not make it with their hands or any things that is found in their dwelling. That's the second commandment. What's the third? Thou shalt not take the what? The name of the Lord thy God in vain. What's the fourth? Remember Zakah. Remember Zakah la Shabbat. Zakah la Sabbath. Shema. Sadiq. Or Kodesh. Remember to keep the Shabbat day holy. Kodesh. Wow. No, that's a remembrance to keep the Shabbat day holy. So now, Shabbat. Shabbat. The Shabbat day is what day?
7.
It's the 7th day. And that is very important because the Hebrew word for 7 is what? Who can tell me? Sheshe is 6. Shavah. Shavah. Now, Shavah.
Same spelling, just different ending.
Shavah. Yes, let me see.
Fresh or 8?
Shavah. Shavah. And Shabbat, Shavah. And Shavah, you see it have no dog in the center. So it carry a what? A verse song. Because remember in Hebrew, the bet, which is the second letter, is a ver and a b song. If the dog is at home, it barks. B. If the dog is not at home, you have a v song. Okay? Huh?
It's at the vet.
That's right, it's at the vet. That's right. If the dog is not at home, it's at the vet. So you have a v song. So Shabbat. Shabbat. Shavah. So Shavah or Shiva. Shiva, Shava, right? And that in itself, Shiva, because there's a S song, SH. Shiva. Shiva. Right? SH song, Shiva. And this is the 7th day. So now the 7th day Hashem made. And when he made the Shabbat day, what he did? He rested. He noach. He noach. What is noach?
Comfort something.
Noach. Noach. Noah means rest.
Comfort.
Or comfort. That is what noach means. So now we're seeing that Shabbat is to be remembered. What is Shabbat? You know, we hearing this in our culture. You know, they say Shabbat, the law and the commandment is done away with. Now Constantine, they change the whole day of paying remembrance to this seventh day, this Shiva, which is the seventh day. You need to keep Shabbat. But what is Shabbat? Shabbat is not 7, because we see Shiva is 7, which is, and in the Hebrew culture, they have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. All those things are pagan attachment to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which you have is Ahad, Sheni, Shaloah, Ariba, Hamatz, Sheshe, which is 6. And this is the Hebrew, that's how they name it. And you have the feminine and you have the masculine. Because in Hebrew, you always have feminine and masculine. And it's not like to say it's gender per se, but it's a way of identifying what is being communicated. And whoever think that, say, well, masculine or male or female, foolishness, they don't understand language. Because when you understand language, it's for identification. This is why you have a gender, a masculine or a feminine structure of the word. So now look at something. Let's look at something. So this word that is Shabbat. Shabbat. What this is really telling us about, what are we to remember on this day? When you look at the 10 mitzvot, what commandment you think that the mitzvot line up with? Which one? Which commandment you think the 4th commandment line up with?
The 9th.
The 9th. And what the 9th commandment says?
Do not give false testimony.
Yes, thou shalt not bear false testimony. Wow. And Shabbat, what is Shabbat? What is Shabbat? Thou shalt keep the Shabbat day
To the Lord your God.
Okay.
Do any work.
No work. So what you're understanding about, you shouldn't do any work and you mustn't be a false witness. Because the two are linked together. Hashem could have made 1 commandment, but he made 2. And you have 5 on this side and you have 5 on this side. So what's the relationship? What is being communicated there with this 4th commandment and the 9th commandment? That is very important. The 4th and the 9th commandment have a relationship. There is a connection. There is a connection with these 2 commandments. What is the connection with these 2 commandments? The 4th commandment and the 9th commandment. What's the connection? What's the connection?
The relationship you're supposed to have with Hashem and the relationship you're supposed to have with others.
Okay, you said the relationship that you have with Hashem and the relationship you're supposed to have with others. Some are getting any other information in reference to what's the relation between these 2 commandments, the 4th commandment and the 9th commandment? What's the relationship? Thou shalt keep the Shabbat day holy, Sadiq, Kodesh, and thou shalt not bear false witness with testimony against the neighbor. What is the commonality with those 2? You know what's the commonality there? You gotta keep seeking for truth. You mustn't be a false witness, and you must keep Shabbat day holy. So where you will find truth? Where would you find truth? In the house. What's the bet? Bait. Bait is the Hebrew word for house. This is also the Hebrew word for temple. Same word. You see, Hebrew in itself, the use of that place it carries, is the same word, but it's just used now for different application. So now, bite, which is house. And what do you do in a bite? What do you get in a bite? What do you get in a home, in a house? What do you get? Or what you ought to get?
Truth.
That's what you ought to get in a house. That's what you're supposed to receive. Who are you receiving that from? We just rub it off here. From your parents. From your Ava and your Im. Your mother and your father. You get it from them. So now, we're seeing that we should keep Shabbat. But do we keep Shabbat? Do we keep Shabbat Kodesh? Do we keep it holy? Do we keep it Kodesh? Why don't we keep Shabbat holy? Tell me why. You know why? Because the Greco-Roman culture, they changed everything that was written in Torah for their own benefit and profit. Because the Jews, the Hasidic, all the different philosophers at that time of the day, the Epicurean, the Gnostic, and all these different ideas and concepts that were plaguing that time in the first century, they now see how they can capitalize on that of this new way. Remember we talked about the way, that way last week? Who is that way? Derek, Shaderik, that way, which is Yod He Wav He, Yeshua Mashiach. That way, he is that new way. So now look at something. He tells us to keep